right after we eat, our body is now in what's termed the absorptive state, which is kind of like, well, duh, okay? Because you've just eaten, your body's breaking down these foodstuffs, and hopefully, as materials pass throughout the intestines, with all of the blood supply that's there, it's going to be absorbing all of those nutrients. So, for about 4 hours after you eat, your body is in the absorptive state, absorbing all of those foodstuffs. The and if you think about our time frame, okay, breakfast to lunch, lunch to dinner. It's depending on, like, if you eat breakfast, I don't know, let's say you eat breakfast at 7 and you have lunch at 1, that's what, roughly 6 hours? Okay, so that's just a little bit out of that 4-hour time frame. And I don't know, then let's say you have dinner at 6 or 6:30, that's still just a little bit outside of that 4-hour time frame. But then, you go from dinner to breakfast the next morning, which could be, I don't know, let's say you had dinner at 6:30, get up at 6:30, 12, 13-hour time frame, okay? Big difference between 4 to 5. Now, post-absorptive, this is what can occur late in the morning before you have lunch, late in the afternoon before you have dinner, and then what takes place during the night. You're not in this short time frame of giving your body a food source. But the one thing that your body wants to focus on, glucose levels. Now, there's lots of reasons for your body to be focused on glucose levels. What's something that comes to mind when you hear about glucose levels? Diabetes. Okay? So there's lots of reasons for your body to be concerned about glucose levels. So therefore, the body wants to make sure it maintains them. That's when the body will go through that conversion of the nutrients, where we might use a lipid. Hopefully not the amino acids and the glycerol. Or maybe it'll use the glycogen that got stored. So its job is to make sure that in between the absorptive and the post-absorptive states that we maintain those proper glucose levels. All right? Because we're wanting to get the glucose to the brain. So, in the absorptive state, once again, nutrients that we can take in. We are absorbing carbs, lipids, proteins. All right? So hopefully those nutrients are getting absorbed into the digestive system. And as they move through the digestive system, getting moved into the bloodstream due to the high amount of vessels with the intestines. Now, the liver, if needed, okay, can help store the glycogen. Then it can help take molecules, pull them out, and if we have to, make the glycogen. Now, hopefully we don't have to go any further than pulling the materials from the fat cells. Hopefully that's the last source that we have to pull from to get the glucose. Now, the food source, proteins, fats, sugars. In this absorptive state, glucose, pretty much we get to come down here, get direct energy. But if we begin to look at the fats fats got a little more complicated because we're having to pull from them. If you guys remember all the little conversions that we showed, okay? So we're getting all the conversions, but hopefully the overall goal being the energy. The amino acids from the proteins. Hopefully we're going to pull from non-essential. Doesn't matter. Don't want them pulling from any of them. The byproducts that we get and the breakdown. We're going to be breaking down muscle at this point so that the overall goal of getting energy is met. So in this absorptive state, that's what the body's hopefully doing. The goal is hopefully taking the glucose molecules you fed them, and then in the little bit of time that that's not available, pull it from the stores. Pull it from the muscle and the liver, from the glycogen. The post-absorptive state, where we have got to get the materials to make glucose, well, hopefully we're going to pull it from, well, hopefully we can pull the glycogen from the muscle and the liver. And we can pull the glycogen and turn it into the energy that we, well, turn it into the glucose that we need. Then hopefully we can pull it from the adipose tissue, convert the little fat droplets, and make the energy that we need. Okay, that's the goal, hopefully. If we begin to go another route, we're going to be breaking down the muscles. So, these states, the goal, get the glucose. Have the glucose no matter what. Okay? So how is it that we're going to make sure we feed the body? We have an appetite. Wish I could be one of those people that the appetite was controlled. Okay? Unfortunately, I think some of my gut-brain peptides don't work correctly. All right? Now, controlling appetite, which will in turn control body weight. There's a long list. Now let's break this apart. Peptides. What's a peptide? It's a special type of bond between the amino acids. So we're talking about amino acid hormones, meaning it's a string of amino acids. And then regulatory pathways. We haven't talked about that because we haven't gotten to the nervous system. We haven't gotten to the brain, okay? But you're going to find when we do get to the brain that there's going to be an area of the brain that I'm going to refer to as being primitive. Because that's what it is. It's a primitive portion of the brain that is going to control almost everything within your body. And it's really cool. So, between those amino acid hormones and the pathways, hopefully we're going to have control of our short and long-term appetite. And these are our gut-brain peptides. Between the gut and the brain and amino acid chains. Okay. They are chemical signals from the gut to the brain. So, we're going to have short-term regulators. These only work a short term of time, minutes to hours. It's going to make you feel hungry so that you start eating, and then make you feel satisfied to stop eating. What do they tell us about when you're sitting down to eat, how to eat it. And you should always put your fork down in between bites, okay? And eat slowly. Believe it or not, very good advice. Because when we look at appetite, if you can let some of these little gut-brain peptides talk to each other, okay, it really will control the amount that you eat. One of the short-term peptides is called ghrelin. Makes me think about a gremlin. Now, these are from parietal cells, and we don't really get into that. But it's a cell in your stomach, okay? And the fundus is an area of your stomach. They give us the sensation of hunger. The primitive portion of your brain gets stimulated. That hypothalamus and thalamus, and then parts of the brainstem. These are going to be primitive portions of your brain. Now, look what happens. Secretes growth hormone releasing hormone. What do you think of when you hear growth hormone? Make you grow. So I used to think, until, I started learning about this type of stuff, that growth hormone stopped when you stopped growing. Growth hormone is needed 24/7 because what it does is it helps us utilize the nutrients that we take in. It actually acts on the cells of the body so that the nutrients that we take in, we utilize them better, which is kind of nice. When we finish eating, ghrelin stops. So it's very short-term regulator of our appetite. Another one, PYY, peptide YY. This one, from another portion of your digestive system, ileum and the colon, they understand food has shown up. This particular peptide is going to be secreted before chyme is. What's chyme?
Is it like acidic mixture in the stomach?
The acidic mixture, and what basically gets, like when something arrives in the stomach and it sets off the little activities in the stomach, and it begins to create the fluids and so forth. When you have the fluids and the food mixed together, that's going to be chyme. But note, they're coming from lower portions of the digestive system, the PYY. And it's going to get there before the chyme, and look what it does. Helps us understand that we are satiated, that we're satisfied with the amount of food we've eaten. And therefore, it's going to help to signal stop eating, which is one of the reasons about, putting the fork down, eating slow, chewing slow, because this will get activated and let that primitive part of the brain know, hey, time to stop the meal. The CCK, the cholecystokinin, upper portions of the digestive system, they help secrete bile and pancreatic enzymes. So these are going to be helping with the secretions from the gallbladder and the pancreas. Their job, once again, help to signal to stop eating. So these are going to be the short-term regulators, where we've got the ghrelin, we've got the PYY, and we've got the CCK. Long-term regulators, basically weeks to years. They're helping with our average calorie intake and energy expenditure. Basically, these peptides let the body know what's the amount of fat tissue and what do I need to do to either add or reduce that amount. Leptin. Ever heard of it? No? Have you ever seen that commercial? Oh, what is it? It's playing off of the term leptin. And it's a commercial for a diet pill, and it talks about the belly fat and taking the pill, and you don't have to modify your diet or anything, and you're supposed to be able to still lose the fat of your body. Relacor. If you read some of the fine print on it, plays off of leptin. Okay? Don't ask me about it, okay? It's just in my mind what my understanding of stuff like that is. I won't take any stuff like that, okay? Now, this is an amino acid peptide. Look where it comes from. The adipocytes. It comes directly from the fat cells. Therefore, it's proportionate to what we have in the body. It lets the body know how much body fat we have. Look at this. This is something that's receiving a lot of research right now. They're finding that obese people, there's probably a defect in their receptors. In other words, they can't control their appetite, and therefore leading to some of the problems that they have.